Hey y'all, it's Lauren,
Is Grace
and we're here with our first full episode.
of Let's Cut the BS.
And so today I think we're just going to dive into a topic that we both kind of thought about and considered. It may be a hot topic, but it's a topic that we know isn't very openly discussed in today's day and age. Mental health controversies and preconceptions. You know, the stuff that you think you know about mental health, but maybe you don't, or try to support somebody who's going through something, but you don't necessarily know how. So we're going to dive into that today.
Yeah. So, Lauren, share with them the reason why you picked this topic for our first show episode.
So I picked this topic because working in the mental health field now for approximately 4 years, I've seen a lot of different aspects and different layers and levels of people, family, friends, even doctors trying to support and understand somebody going through mental health challenges, but they don't necessarily know how to because it's hard to truly relate or to try to even, you know, sympathize with somebody if you don't know the level of which they are, suffering. Because a lot of times with what I see and what I'm sure Grace sees in mental health is the diagnoses are silent. You won't notice if you're shopping in the grocery store, the person checking out in front of you is suffering from depression or is suffering from PTSD. It's not always visual. And what we were talking about earlier before we filmed, and what she actually brought up that I thought was hilarious, but it's so true. I think what people think is the crazy person running down the street naked with a knife in their hand. That's not mental health. It can be. So let me correct myself now. Hold on. That can be. But it's a more flashy version of what people just kind of comes to mind when they think of mental health. They think of the crazy man running down the street.
Hannibal Lecter.
Mm-hmm. But mental
The Sixth
health.
Sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But mental health is so much deeper than that. And there are so many different levels. And a lot of the times, especially with, medication nowadays and how therapy is becoming more widely accepted, that it's silent. You're not going to be able to know based on having a conversation with somebody in the grocery store or, walking in your apartment complex or your neighborhood. But it's also important to know that having that level of patience and sympathy with everybody.
And you know that what that made me think about is if y'all, this is the description that I want to use for this, because I totally agree with Lauren, and that's why I felt like, yeah, you're right, this is a great introduction show. Because if you think about it, in the 70s where we had these masses of serial killers, right? But people were hitchhiking and there were serial killers. Guess what? A lot of these serial killers lived in prominent neighborhoods, had great careers, they were friends with their neighbors, they were leaders in their churches. They did all these things that made them look like this incredible person. And that's the problem that I have with others. They think that because of what you do and how you dress and how you look and the car you drive, that you just can't have a diagnosis. But when you know you have a diagnosis, there comes a responsibility with that. And some people just don't know that they have it until something bad happens. I remember so many times I watched my crime shows and they're like, he was a doctor. He was a podiatrist. He had served his community for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, he is that person that's running down the street naked with a knife, basically. That's what we're saying. So it doesn't have a look. Mental health does not have a look. And I'm sick and tired of people being judged because of that. So we want to make sure that you understand that it doesn't have a look, but for you to learn how to understand the people that are in your lives that may have a diagnosis, and to learn how to support them and respect them at the same time, because that diagnosis does not define them, and it doesn't have to
Amen.
stop them from living a great life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think that's one of my biggest, triggers working in that field and, struggling with my own mental health challenges is that it's so easy for people to come to these conclusions that, oh, they have this diagnosis. They probably are on housing. They probably, don't have friends. They probably are alcoholics. Okay. That does not define you. The mental health diagnosis can lead to those things as unfortunate outcomes. But the thing that I think a lot of people neglect, and what really just rocks me to my core, is that they are still people. And from what I see, people like to talk about them like they're objects or items. And humans are human. And we as a society have reached this level of, I think the only way I can describe it is all-time low, where we talk about and treat people like they're objects or like they're inanimate. And it's not fair. Just because people are different, just because they don't sound like you, just because they don't look like you, just because they think differently, or maybe if you view it, it's incorrectly. But they're still human. And we need to bring back the concept of treating people as they are on this earth, which is humans. And if you don't agree with somebody, that's okay. But there's a way of approaching it that can be, positive and appropriate and polite rather than negative and.
And you know what? I remember having a conversation with my mom about somebody that, found out that they had depression. And it was after a traumatic event, right? And everyone was shocked, like, well, they never had it before. They've done this and they've done that. I feel like some people who have, they already have it, and I don't know what to call it, but they already have it somewhere in their brain that if triggered, oh my gosh, your dog is going crazy.
My dog just had a stroke, my bad.
Her dog wants to be on the episode. Oh, wow. Okay, let me get back focused. But anyway, like, she was telling about someone who is a grown adult that recently, it has been diagnosed with depression. And she seemed so surprised about the diagnosis because they never showed that they had any issues all their lives. And the reasons why she said it was because, they had this life and they did this and went to school and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, Mom, that doesn't mean that they weren't gonna be prone. The dog, y'all.
I have a 70-pound German Shepherd, disclosure, and she's been chasing her tail for 10 minutes. So I apologize. I have ADHD. This is very challenging.
And I might have it. I don't know yet. If I do, I blame my parents because they should have got me checked out a long time ago. But I'm just saying, like, I have to sometimes educate my mom because, like, Mama doesn't have a look. Just because she went or he went, I can't remember, the majority of their life doing all these things, maybe that was the cover up. Maybe working all their lives and being in a relationship and looking good on the outside for other people was the cover up. Y'all do remember the actor Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
And look what happened. You never know. It doesn't have a look. And no amount of money is going to stop you from doing certain things to yourself because your mental health is affected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, like, on that point that you brought up about Robin Williams, you never truly know what somebody is going through. And a simple comment you make to somebody in the grocery store or even honking your horn at them on the road could be the single trigger. So I think we need to be better about practicing patience and humanity because we still live in a world of humans. As much AI and technology as there is out there, we are still humans, and we need to treat other humans the same because we're not robots. We still have emotion. We don't function on batteries, and we still need that level of sympathy, whether you think they need it or not, or you agree with them or not. We need to remember and come back to the topic of treating people like humans, because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. Let's go back to kindergarten. Let's treat everybody how we want to be treated. I mean, let's
keep your hands, feet, and other objects to yourself, and don't eat crayons. Sorry, I had to. But I totally agree with Lauren, and my biggest deal when it comes to talking about mental health is just the way that people have this idea in their heads. When if you share with them, you have a diagnosis, people get all frightened and scared. And this is why we have mental health workers. Most of these things can be managed. And there's a lot of people that are managing their mental health. You wouldn't even know it. Matter of fact, what I was talking to Lauren about earlier is that there used to be a very high percentage of medical students that were so stressed out from their studies because they don't get to hang out and have a lot of fun. Like, they are always studying. And a lot of them were diagnosed with anxiety and depression. You would never know that because your doctor's not going to come into your room and go, "Hi, I'm Dr. Parker. Just by the way, I have depression. So while I'm diagnosing you, I might have a moment where I get really, really sad and might start crying." That doesn't happen. Mm-mm. And that's how I feel like a lot of people see it. It's like, it has to look a certain way. You have to have a certain lifestyle. You have to come from a certain social class, status, all those things. If they're driving a Mercedes Benz, there's no way they have a mental health diagnosis. Really? Like, I threw out that word Karen. I kind of had a little moment where I just said that when she was talking about something. And I watch a lot of videos on social media. And first of all, let me make this clear first. Being a Karen is not always a suburban, a Caucasian woman. There are Karens in all races, and male and female, young adult, grown adults. It depends on what's going on with you that day that makes you take something to the extreme. Like, how are you going to be a Karen at the store over a can of Sprite? A can of Sprite with your Louis Vuitton bag and your Tory Burch shoes. That, to me, when I watch it, I'm like, and I can't help it, y'all, because of my field. But I'm always like, ooh, there is a diagnosis underlying. You know what I mean? But I mean, I've never had one of those interactions, but I see it all the time on social media. And I'm like, those are the people that y'all need to be looking at. Because why are we going postal over a can of Sprite? And here you are with your designer bags and your designer shoes, probably live in a big house. You have all these things going, but there's something that made you make a big deal about that Sprite. And now you're all over the internet being called a Karen. It kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And to think if we just treated everybody equally and like humans and not what their diagnosis says. A diagnosis is not a label. I mean, technically, yes, it is. But it doesn't define you, like you said earlier. Mm-hmm. A diagnosis does not define you because majority of people have anxiety in today's world. And they function normally in life.
You never know.
And you would never know. And that's why I say all the time, you never know truly what somebody is going through until you've walked a mile in their shoes.
And you know what? I want to say something before I forget. Can those of you who don't have anxiety or don't have depression stop going around telling people, using it as an excuse for the way you treat others? And I'm sorry, I've just been depressed. I'm sorry, it's my anxiety. Where is your paperwork? Where's your diagnosis? This is why it's hard in the field when somebody really has it, because people go around and they just throw it out there like it's nothing. It's a real thing. You can't just go around saying, oh, I have anxiety. When? Where? How? You're just exhausted and you're on edge. That's the way I look at it. So stop doing that, because every time you do it, when the person who really has it speaks up, y'all act like it's not that big of a deal. There are people that literally can't go to the grocery store because of their anxiety. You know, there are people that can't even go to family functions because of their anxiety. There are people that can't go to a get-together because of their depression, because they don't feel, it doesn't feel good to be there. They don't feel the same. They don't feel wanted. They don't feel included. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think it makes it harder for the people who truly are struggling and truly challenged by it come out and be honest about it, because blah 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 says they have it, but they go through life totally fine, so what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it makes it harder for people who are truly going through challenges and hardships to truly come out and be open about it and honest about it and seek the help that they rightfully deserve. Sorry, my dog is in attention. Oh, so. Cue pretzel.
It's a sweet dog, though. She just doesn't want us to do this because it doesn't give her any attention.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do get really irritated, especially, you know, talking to people that have diagnoses and hearing about, how other people make them feel. Like, I totally understand that. Because if you don't know about it, if you're not educated on it, and you don't know how to support them, it can make a person feel really alone. And another reason why this was a good idea, thank you, Lauren, for this to be our first episode, is because we want to go ahead and get y'all to know us as that first. Because we're always going to come from a perspective of the knowledge that we have and the way that we care about people, how we empathize with people, how we sympathize with people. Shoot, I remember talking to people sometimes and crying my eyes out like I lived the situation, because I get it. But everyone doesn't have that type of person in their life. And so we're here to help y'all maybe give somebody a little bit more love in your life or in your circle or at the workplace. It doesn't matter. Like, be open-minded to what somebody might be going through, because some people just laugh through it. Robin Williams. Some people just laugh through it. And that is like one of the major ways that someone hides their depression, is what I've learned, is that a lot of times they come off as this happy-go-lucky, this jolly person, but y'all don't know when they go home and they close that front door, you don't know what that looks like on the other side of the door, and you don't know what actions or situations took place before that makes them decide what they're going to do next for or to themselves. We don't know.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard to truly, understand unless you've experienced it. There's a difference between, understanding and just acknowledging.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my, triggers also, is people who tell me, oh, I know what you're going through. No. No.
I hate that.
Like,
how do you know? Like, were you there when it happened? I hate that too. Like, why would you say, I know? That's sympathy. And we're going to have that show one day too. Sympathy versus empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is sympathy. It's like you feel sorry for me. Oh, hey, what it do? Hey, Russell, you may as well say hi to the camera. Oh, Lord, no. Sorry, that was unscripted. Well, everything's unscripted, but that was unexpected. But yeah, like, what was I even saying? Your dog threw me off.
Pretzel, go lay down.
What was I saying?
The difference between, the next episode is difference between empathy and sympathy. But a trigger when people tell you, I know what you're going through.
Eventually.
When people tell you, I know what you're going through. But they don't. It's upsetting, quite actually. If you've actually been through something like both of us have, that we will get to one day, and people try to tell you they know what you're going through, I understand, believe me, I do, that it's coming from a genuine and nice place, and they don't mean harm by it, but how it's received is, no, you don't, and how dare you try to understand when I know you haven't gone through something as, challenging as I have. And so it's important, I think, for people to understand that the verbiage you use when you are discussing sympathy with others carries a lot of weight, because that single sentence, I know what you're going through, could be a trigger for another anxiety episode or depression. And it's important to choose wisely the words you use when you're talking with somebody that has mental health issues, and approaching them in a manner of sincerity, softness, genuinity, and just trying to listen. That's what people need to listen more than they speak, because.
And I've noticed that sometimes when people know that you have a diagnosis and you have a real human issue, and you confront a friend or a family member and say, hey, this happened and this is how it made me feel. And then a person who's supposed to love you and care for you and support you decides to throw your diagnosis in your face and say, oh, you only feel that way because you have these problems. Unacceptable. Like, that's not okay, because that's you not taking ownership for how you made them feel. That's a way for you to gaslight them, for one, and that's a way for you to be able to escape responsibility. And so I say to you, maybe you got a mental health diagnosis undetected. I don't know. I'm just being funny right now. But I'm just saying, like, how do you reject how you have made someone feel because you know a lot about their personal life? So now you're in violation, and people should feel unsafe with you.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
And I think that's not talked about enough in mental health either, is the verbiage people use when, discussing things with, whether it's a client or a friend or a family member or somebody you're just having a conversation with in the local gas station. It's important to choose wisely the words you say, because, excuse.
I got her. We're good.
Because simply what you say could really disturb somebody, and without you even realize it, without you even intending to. Be kind with your words, be selective, because try to reverse it. How would you feel if somebody said that to you? And treat others how you want to be treated, but also go in with a level of sensitivity, not knowing that that person may be suffering from a mental health diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm really big. Once again, I'm going to mention it one more time. Stop trying to make people feel bad for having their diagnosis when you're the one that's done something wrong to them. You still need to treat them like humans. Their feelings are real, they're valid. And it was probably already hard anyway for them to confront you about it in the first place. They probably sat there in their mind wondering if they should say something. And sometimes, because in the back of their mind, they probably already felt like, if I tell them this is how they made me feel, they're going to throw this up. I just know it, because they're used to people treating them that way.
Absolutely.
Like, you just don't know. And back to the whole thing about, it not having a look. Can you look at us and tell what we've been diagnosed with? You have no clue. You can take a guess if you want to. My laugh is probably a dead giveaway, but you can't tell what we've been diagnosed with.
Definitely not me.
Yeah, definitely not. She has an incredible story. I can't even wait to share that with the world. Like, it gave me goosebumps. It's so powerful. And I look up to her because she has persevered through a whole lot. So we can't even wait to tell you about that. But I do want to mention to y'all, we're not going to be just talking about this every single episode.
Right.
We wanted to make it very clear what our background is and how we care about people. So whenever we have a conversation about something, it's coming from the aspect of the knowledge that we have, or from our experiences about people, the different types of people, and how they show up in different situations. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about deadbeat men. And we're going to talk about deadbeat women, too. I ain't leaving y'all out. Y'all thought y'all was deadbeat women, too. We're going to talk about gas prices. Are we? We should, but no. But, what other things are we going to be talking about on the show? Sorry.
I mean, I think just anything and everything, and how mental health can, make it challenging. Struggling with mental health diagnosis while working, while going to school, while, in family functions, because what it's like being in crowds, and the fear of rejection, and pretzel, go lay down, and not knowing what people will think or say about you, because it's very challenging. And just what people need to know and be more sensitive and considerate about, but also the levels of mental health that are not discussed, that you don't read in the newspaper, that you don't see on television, or that you probably do, but are not projected correctly, because the world wants you to see one thing besides what is actually going on underneath. So that is a big thing for me, because I don't feel like mental health is portrayed correctly in the television, in the news, in TV shows, and movies. And what you see is not what you actually get.
And you were mentioning something earlier when we were talking about our plans for this episode about like what we see off the highway on the billboards and what we don't see.
Right. And, just an example like when you're driving down the highway and you see a big old billboard for a rec attorney or for a divorce attorney or for the latest in the iPhones. I don't
A
know.
church.
Rather than that, we need to be advertising mental health resources. Call this hotline. Are you feeling this way? Are you okay? Have you had these thoughts? Call this hotline. Here's this resource. 3 exits away, mental health program. Like, there's the pretzel. Lay down. I swear she has a
She's doing it
trainer.
on purpose.
I swear she has a trainer.
You should probably tell her she doesn't have a trainer because she's a little extra.
Single dog mom life is hard. I'm trying. But there's not enough advertisement. There's not enough advocacy out there. Instead of spending these millions of dollars on these billboards advertising for all these different places, we need to let people know. Blah, blah, blah has this resource. How are you struggling with this? Call this number. Are you struggling with this? Visit this website. But no, we're choosing to advertise ways for people to make more money rather than the resources that the community and the people are in dire need of. Mm-hmm. And so that is one thing that I've noticed just about the mental health industry. There's not enough advertisement. And I don't think that's due to the mental health industry. I think it's due to extra factors of advertising, state, city, all these different things, which I'm not calling out the city or the state, but I'm simply saying that there needs to be more advocacy, there needs to be more advertisement out for there, because I think it would allow a lot more people who are silently suffering or are not aware of what resources they have seek the help that they need.
Yeah. And so, again, guys, this is something new for us, but we feel like we have something to offer somebody with this. Again, we're going to be talking about a wide range of topics. Some of them are going to be fun and hilarious, and we just shooting the crap or whatever. It's not always going to be this serious. We just want you to get to know us and what we are into and what has kind of shaped a lot of our lives for a certain amount of years. Like, I've been involved in the field for 4+ years. And she's, been in it for about 4. So we've both been in it a long time. You know what I'm saying? But we are going to talk about other things. And the only things we're not going to touch on is religion and politics. Like, we might skate around a little subject, but we're not saying it because we're not doing that.
I'm not trying to be sued.
I'm just not trying to get the hate. Like,
well, that too.
Yeah, I'm not trying to do that. I do not argue with people online. I promise you I won't. I will just ignore the comment if it's negative, because then it messes with my mental health. But I want to go ahead and let y'all know that our next episode is going to actually be on having relationships with people who do live with mental health. And also, not just romantic relationships, but even relationships with your friends.
Co-workers, family. Mm-hmm. I mean, anything that's considered a relationship, whether it's with a friend, a family member, an actual partner, or someone you meet in the gas station getting a Dr. Pepper. I mean, my Coke people, just, keep on.
That Karen at the store. Sorry.
But it's important to, try to see things from different perspectives. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about in the relationship, and just how to handle and address certain situations that probably do need to be addressed and talked about, but how to do it in a way that preserves the peace of the relationship rather than tearing it apart.
Yeah, and knowing that is our next episode, feel free between now and next weekend to leave us, because we shoot every Saturday. So feel free to go ahead and put comments or perspectives you would like for us to discuss, because I'm sure there's somebody out there that has been waiting for someone to have this conversation, and the way that we're doing it in this kind of setting, and our different backgrounds, where we differ and where we are similar, and how laid back we are about it. Like, we don't have to be in the field and just always be like this all the time, and like hate life. Like, we have things that we had to work on ourselves. And, there is going to be a day that we're going to share with you our diagnoses, and what we learned and our struggles through it. And again, her story is so freaking powerful, y'all. So that's why when we talk about it, I'm going to go first and let her go last, because if I go last, then y'all going to be talking smack and be like, Lauren should have went last. Yeah, because her story is better.
Have your tissues ready.
Yes, have your tissues ready for sure. So yeah, get in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, but get in the comments and tell us
Send our channel to somebody if you know somebody's struggling or going through something.
Yes.
Send them our way.
Do
or
that.
Someone who isn't, who maybe you just were like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They may need to hear this, because that's the goal. We want to reach as many people as we can.
Yeah.
And, just be as honest as we can as well.
Yeah. And we want all kinds of people in our audience. We don't want to just serve one community.
Correct.
So don't think because you don't have mental health issues that you're not going to be interested in any of our other episodes. Again, it's our first show. We're just introducing ourselves. Even though we did an intro video, this is really us telling you about ourselves. And if you notice, like, she's a little more soft-spoken than me, and I got this cackle, and I know I sound throw it off, but that is my laugh, and I'm going to keep doing it because somebody else is going to like it, and I don't care that it's on camera, because I was asking Lauren earlier, I was like, should I change my laugh for the video and just go like, No, it's going to be, I said, okay. So I'm keeping my cackle, so don't even try it. So last words, get them ready.
Like, subscribe, share. If you have any topics you want us to discuss specifically, comment below. We have a running list going of things that we're going to be discussing. But if you're like, hey, can you please talk about this? You'll go to the top. We'll talk about it, And just be honest, be vulnerable. Let us know. And if you have any topics that you're like, I don't know, that might be a little dicey, comment it. Let us decide, okay, how can we approach this in a professional and a polite manner? Because that's our goal. We don't want to be professional, polite, but also tell you the truth. The truth that the world does not tell you.
And the other truth is, don't ever forget, let's cut the BS. All right, y'all have a good night.